me if this feels familiar. You wake up every morning determined that this is the day you finally move forward. You work hard, you check things off your list, you stay busy. But when the day ends, nothing's really changed. Weeks pass, months pass, and you end up wondering, why does my life look exactly the same? It's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're incapable. The truth is, most people confuse movement with progress. They keep running faster on the treadmill, but the view in front of them never changes. And if you don't recognize this now, 5 years down the line, you'll end up in the same place, working harder, but feeling even emptier. But that doesn't have to be your story, because today I'm going to show you the exact shift that takes you off the treadmill and onto the real road. And if you stay with me till the end, you'll walk away today knowing exactly what you need to do so that all of your effort finally turns into results that actually move your life forward. Let's get started. I've developed a very simple 3-step framework for you to take action on, but before we get to that, I want to help you understand exactly where the problem is. Because once you've identified it, right, changing it becomes super easy. And if you think back on your life, if you think back on the past few years where you've been feeling stuck, you'll recognize that lack of knowledge is never the issue. In fact, you have more knowledge than you can do anything with. You know all the motivational concepts, you know all the things about how to build the right habits, you know all the questions to ask to find clarity. The problem is not in the lack of knowledge or awareness. The problem is that we are becoming obese with knowledge. We know too much, we do too little. And because of this gap between the knowing and the doing, we get stuck. When there's too much to know, it's overwhelming. When there's too much stuff inside our heads, we're looking at the big picture of it and we're thinking, okay, out of these 1,000 pieces, what do I pick? What do I choose? There's so many things to do. And because we're not able to decide, what do? Oh, maybe I need to learn something more that will help me decide what to do. And we get stuck in this comfort zone of learning and gathering knowledge where, okay, technically we might be growing because we're learning new things. But are we actually growing? Are we actually succeeding? Or are we just running on that comfortable treadmill over and over and over again? This is the reality check that changed my life. When I was in this state, just like you, I had all these amazing ideas of what I wanted to do as an entrepreneur or build something. But I always thought, you know what, maybe I just need to learn one thing more or one new idea or something else. And because of that, I was always stuck. I was not moving forward. I was keeping learning new things. New ideas were coming from here, there, everywhere, but nothing was changing. And that's because I didn't have a clear action plan. The steps that I'm going to introduce you to just now will change your life and make sure that you're not making the same mistake I did. And these 3 steps will help you build the action plan that helps you get unstuck, choose exactly what to take action on, and get started. And to make it even easier for you, I've made a very simple PDF with ready to fill answers that you can get. But how do you get that? That I'll tell you after the 3 steps are over. The first step is stop looking for more. You could have probably guessed that this was coming up, but it's very important for you to recognize this because a lot of times we get stuck in this trap of more, where just one more thing, the next new book, the next new idea, the next new YouTube video will be the answer to our problems. And more often than not, it is. But do we take action on it? No. Why? Because even after learning it, we're thinking, oh, I need something more. I need to take this new idea. I need to understand this new concept. And just like that, we are stuck in the loop again. And this was the step I followed to get unstuck in my life and actually start taking action on my business ideas. So this year, when I first started out, the biggest problem I had was that I was reading many books. I was learning everything. I understood everything about business, strategy, marketing, and all of that stuff. Like if you asked me to pass a theory exam, I could do it with an A grade. That's the level of depth I had built in my knowledge. So technically, I knew everything I had to do, but I still thought I need to learn something more. And so I was stuck. Finally, at one point I decided, you know what, Prabhsimrat? This is too much. You already know enough. Just get started. And guess what happened? When I got started, when I started talking to a few customers, when I reached out, when I discussed ideas with them, and when I pitched my services to them, I recognized that while all that theory helped me build a good base of knowledge to get started upon, the real feedback and the real growth happened when I actually talked to the customers. So what I did one time was that I sent an email to a prospective customer, pitching my service, telling how it would help them. And you know what I got in response? This seems like this came from an automated message list, and even if that's not the case, I can recognize you're a beginner, so here's what you should do. Just imagine, I reached out to a potential customer, and within the few minutes of reading my email, they recognized I was a beginner. And now I could have taken that as criticism, but I did not. Instead, I took that as a learning opportunity. I learned from real world feedback, from real world criticism, and that changed my idea and helped me pivot to a much more powerful one. Maybe that's the shift that you need in your life too. All the knowledge might be helpful to you, but at the end of the day, it's just theory, and theory without practical action amounts to nothing, at least when it comes to your career and to the goals that you have. And just like me, who knows how much more you will learn when you actually start taking the action, right? So do that, follow this first step and promise yourself, I'm not going to look for more. Instead, I will take action on the things that I know. Once you do, implementing the next step will become super easy for you. And that is step 2, figure out what matters. Because we all know growth is important in our lives. Without growth, we cannot really survive. But growth for the sake of growth, well, that's a bit problematic, because then you're on a hedonic treadmill again. You're running and running and running and always trying to chase the next big thing, but you're not really sure of what that growth is looking like in your life. So you need to recognize this important fact. Now that you've stopped looking for more, you also need to stop looking for growth in everything, everyone, and everywhere. Because if you do it all at once, you'll just spread yourself too thin and you will not actually grow. So that is what step 2 is for, figuring out what matters. So pick up that one area in your life. Now it can be something related to your health, or it can be in your career, or it can be in your relationships, or any specific area where you're feeling stuck, where you're stagnant and you want to grow. And then focus your energy for some time on growing in that area only. I'm not saying that you ignore the other areas. I'm not saying that, let's say you decided, I want to grow in my career. So you work 24/7 on that and you stop talking to your family and you isolate yourself. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, when you actually get started on the action, you figure out that, okay, in my career, this is the one area where I need to focus on growth. This is where majority of my time will be spent. And for a few months, there might be an imbalance, but it's fine because I know I will be growing there. And here's what you need to do. You don't just need to set this vague idea that you need to grow. You also need to set a specific target for yourself. Now, whether that target gets executed or not, that's a different story. But having that target does something very important, and that is that it gives you a vantage point. So when you're going, when you're moving forward, you have direction, you have certainty, you have an idea that this is what I'm heading towards. And so for your career, that can be something like a promotion or a specific revenue target, or talking to new people, or achieving a specific sales quota. In your health, that can mean becoming very good at a sport, or achieving a certain weight target, or falling in love with healthy food, or whatever else your goal is. But you need to quantify it, and you need to say, okay, this is what matters, and this is what I'm going to focus on growing in the next few months. That's just the simple step you need to take. Does it need to be perfect? No. Can your goal change in the future or in the middle of your journey? Absolutely. But if you don't have one to start with, you will never start the journey itself. And so the choice is with you. Do you want to stay stuck in the same loop, or do you want to take an imperfect goal as it may be and actually start moving forward? If you're watching this video till here, I know that you want to keep moving forward. So this is how you do it with step 2, by figuring out what matters and setting a very simple goal for it. And we finally come to the step that's going to change everything. And it's everyday training. Because the truth is, growth is a mind game. And for you to win at it, You need to train your mind to win, and that training takes everyday practice. So how are you going to do that? Very simple. In the previous step, you set that big target, right? In a few months where you want to be or the specific goal you want to achieve. Now take that and break it down. What are the specific actions I can take to succeed at this? What are some things that I can do starting from today and every single day to grow? Now, if your goal is to succeed in your career and get a promotion, some of the steps can be, okay, I will work harder every single day. I will speak up more in meetings. I will become more confident, or whenever I'm having a discussion, I will ensure that I'm listening properly and I'm only adding valuable inputs instead of just trying to boost my ego. Now, these are very simple steps, but when they compound, they will help you grow. They will help you get closer to that promotion. And for any of your goals, either in relationships or health or whatever it is, you can apply the same things. So you take that goal and you ask yourself, what are the specific actions I can take every single day to get closer to this goal? Now, why does this matter? Because setting the goal is one thing, achieving it is another. These everyday actions bridge the gap between the setting of the goal and the achieving of the goal. And once again, you're not going to know everything that you need to do. But you don't need to know everything. That's the basic truth. You can get started. Maybe 7 days later, you end up with a realization. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should change some things. So you change them and you get started again. The thing is, you don't have to stay stuck in the search for the perfect plan or the perfect action or the perfect path forward, because it doesn't exist. And that's where I was stuck for the longest time. I wanted to find the perfect thing, the perfect plan, the perfect business strategy, the perfect growth book, everything. I was only looking for the perfection. But then I realized that the perfection just doesn't exist, and I'm anyways going to mess it up. I'm anyways going to face problems. So why not face the problems while moving forward rather than having those imaginary ones inside my head while staying stuck? And that's the choice that you need to make. Of course, your plans will change. Your goals might even change. But it is better to keep training your mind for that growth, right? Instead of just staying stuck in the same place. So this is how you do it, by executing these 3 steps. Repeat them on a monthly basis. Do a review of your goals. Do a review of your actions. And before you know it, in a few months, you will be at a new place. All it demands from you is consistency and focus and success. And to make sure that you're doing it, I'm now going to share with you the resource that I mentioned in the middle of this video. Here's how you access it. In the description, you'll find a simple link. You go click on that, and there you'll find a simple form to enter into where you can type your name and email, and you'll get access to the simple PDF ready to fill in worksheet that you can get started with right away to make sure that you are actually doing your goals right. So make sure that you download it right away to get started on your goals and get started on your everyday actions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next week.